Hello and welcome to the panel, your official SuperCoach NBL show. Get the popcorn out tonight. We've got two big blockbusters to round out round 17. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix take on Sydney Kings, and Perth Wildcats, they host Melbourne United. So two big games to watch if you've got Cotton, Cooks, Hurt or Sobey, and massive ones coming up. A reminder, we're recording this on Wednesday, so we do have those two games left of round 17. Round 18 starts tomorrow for that quick turnaround, so get your trades in. I am Kelsey Brown, your host of the panel, but my favourite part of the show is welcoming in our experts. None other than the guy in expert chair number one, JC, James Clements, our SuperCoach wizard. How are you, JC?
I'm well, but to be honest, look, I've got a beard. We get this, right? You know who's also got a beard? Adam Ford. I could have pulled an Adam Ford this week and just started my bench. I'm just like yelling at my starters going, why aren't you better? Be better! I'm going to start my bench next week. And Fordy's like just nodding along, just going, oh, that's not a bad idea. There you go. But either way, my week was a bit fraught, up and down, but I think we're going to come out in positive territory this week.
You've called some people frauds already coming in here, so I think you're on one today. Our second expert is Boydie, 1/3 of the Basketball Blokes. Boydie, great to have you with us again. I'm keen to hear your insights today. How was your week?
Weeks not too good NBL Supercoach wise. Unfortunately, I can't blame anyone else like JC seems to be doing. I've only got myself to blame with my trade-ins over the last couple of weeks. Was inside the top 150 overall before that, and I think I'm sitting about 200th, and I might slide again this week, so we'll see what happens.
No, we've got to stay positive in here. Let's talk about the positives that have happened this season. I want to move to the best decisions you've ever made in the SuperCoach realm this year. For me, I will start off, Casey Prather. I got on him pretty early. Very happy with his performances throughout the year. I think he was the best decision I made. I made a lot of blunders, but I will ride and die with Casey Prather. Obviously a bit disappointing that he missed out on that game last week, but I do have good news that he's on the plane to New Zealand, so great one for Casey. JC, best decision you made in SuperCoach this year?
Well, to steal your thunder there, Kels. Casey Prather. Unfortunately, one of my worst moves was getting off him after he ripped off back-to-back 14s, and I'm like, enough with the Casey Prather. I'd stuck fat with him for so long as well. I had him in the cheapest chips. It was awesome. He was flying. I'm like, I'm just going to lock and load until Brisbane hit their doubles. We're laughing. I'm ahead of the curve. I'm the smartest man who ever lived. Spoiler alert, I am not the smartest man who ever lived. It was brutal. I traded him out because I think I needed the cash, and another cash cow came in. And those back-to-backs were really going to put a big dent in his price, so I jumped off. Not very smart by me, but really probably my first one is just like having seen Kendrick Davis like up close and personal really early on, locked and loaded from very, very, very early on in KD. And he's repaid the faith. The biggest problem was I just sort of, I jumped off him, and we've talked about this on the show time and time again. There's almost scope where you could have just had him in from the very start and left him there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Never traded him out. He would have been fine. You probably would have been fine as well. But KD was obviously the smart one. And another little honourable mention, Sam Menenga. Like I've had him basically on my bench the entire season. Basically since the Breakers got onto their doubles, I've had Menenga just sitting there as my backup big, and he has delivered and repaid the faith. So he's looked awesome, had like career nights like last week. He's been fantastic, so yeah, I love having him as my backup big.
It's been a rarity to be able to get someone and sit on them throughout the season. Boydie, is there anyone that you've made great decisions on?
Well, yeah, mine are kind of two stories that go along with that. So one was I had Glover from the start, got rid of him, but then sort of got him back in and rode the wave. That first wave, I guess, with Walton Jr. out for a little while injured. And then the second one, Wieskamp, I've done sort of similar things. I had him round one, and he kind of was a bit average, and I guess he was very average from then on for a little while, but sort of saw his minutes ticking up a couple of weeks ago and got him in it and rode that wave as well. But I think you two with Prather's the one to go. And please don't mention Sam Menenga's name anymore. I've held on to him too long, got rid of him, and now he's been balling out the last couple of weeks.
I also love that you're a Phoenix fan, Boydie, and you're just like, I'm going to go Cousin Angus, G-Love and the special sauce, and we'll go Wieskamp. So well done. Just like, I know what I like, and I'll just stick with it.
Sometimes you got to go with what you know.
Love the gingers. We've spoken so much about the rounds, the start and finish. December and January has been a little bit chaotic with that. As of tomorrow, we go back to normal. So it is a Thursday to Sunday round. Very exciting. So you don't need to get up in the middle of the night and do your trades between Wednesday and Thursday. Boydie, for those of us playing at home, I'm sure a lot of people understand this, but can you give us a little bit of a run through of finals? We're entering into SuperCoach Finals territory.
Yeah, cool. So this round has kind of been sort of the play-in sort of style that the NBL is doing as well. So we've had teams that finished 3rd to 6th sort of playing off this week. The two winners go through to sort of just a one-game next week, and then depending on if you win and lose that game next round, if you get into that round, you play first and second. So first and second in each league, or generally, unless there's been customised rules, have basically 2 weeks break here.
Got to rest their guys.
Well, that's the thing. Some people will say that might be too easy for them to set up. But with how the schedules works and doubles and etc., it's probably not as
beneficial.
Beneficial as it was. But
yeah, right. Okay, I love that explanation because I think you sort of get caught up in NBL to SuperCoach. There are different timings for things, as we've seen with rounds. Let's move to hot or not. One of my favourite ones this week is history-making Kendrick Davis. JC, you want to give us a touch on Kendrick Davis? You've been big on him, and he has just created history in SuperCoach.
1,000 points.
1,000 points.
First time ever. It's amazing. Like, he's just gone, hey, check this out. I heard some trash talk. Oh, here's 1,000 SuperCoach points on your head. It's absolutely amazing what he's done for Adelaide. And the cool part is, I think he's also missed games in there as well, so it could be even substantially more. And I think if you look at Boydie from last year, PJC, right? Like an amazing year statistically, SuperCoach-wise, and KD's blown that out of the water. Like, the best Bryce years. Like, Bryce is still just behind KD this year. Xavier Cooks is actually just behind him as well, but KD is like head and shoulders above everybody else in terms of SuperCoach this year. He's repaid the faith. He's been fantastic.
Sorry, what are you?
Sorry, I was going to say, he was one that we picked out pre-season in our sort of import rankings on the Basketball Blokes podcast. And I guess if you held him from the start, you start off at 277 K. He's currently around about 544. So if you'd have just picked him at the start and probably rode him on the bench during that poor Adelaide schedule to start with, or they kind of had it all right, then they went bad. But anyway, you'd be sitting pretty, I think. Lots of equity.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, he's also got 2 doubles still to go, right? Like, we've got 2 more weeks of round 18, round 19 Adelaide doubles for he and the next person on the hot and not list, which is Trez. And I love Trez. Like, Trez has been fantastic as well. I'm like, that's like one of those other moves where I was always just so bullish on Trez from the get-go. And the way that Adelaide have played, despite all the drama surrounding the team this year, like KD, Trez, they've just been lock and load. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's been incredible. So the hot list is Kendrick Davis, Montrezl Harrell, Tyler Harvey, Matt Mooney, Trey Kell. Trey Kell, interestingly enough, is also on the traded out. We will get to that later. But on the not list is a few Kings, a few United players, Sean Bruce, Ian Clark, Alex Tui, Chris Golding, Sam Wildenberg's on there as well. You've called him Fraudenberger, which is, I think, an interesting name, JC. But Boydie, I want to ask you about the Kings. You don't think you can trust them yet? I
don't think so. I mean, they've got a game to come, and so do the Melbourne boys. Obviously, they're playing tonight. But the Kings, that Kings roster just scares me. Those minutes sort of they're so sporadic. Apart from Cooks, I think, and probably Adams as well. Although Adams did sit off basically a whole second half, 3 games back. So I just can't trust them with any of their sort of role-playing guys like Tui, or Bruce, etc. Even for cheapy options. Obviously, they finished doubles now as well. They've only got singles to come. So I doubt you want them being your role players anyway. And,
I mean, to go back to Fraudenberg, I mean, we've got, I think, one of the most traded players last week, right? Because it was an obvious thing. Cairns have got all these doubles coming up. I traded out Taco for him, and suddenly Taco's outscoring Fraudenberg. You're breaking my heart, Sam. What are you doing? And I'm just watching these games going, just get the rebound. Oh, he's missed another rebound. He's not taking any shots. His field goal attempts have just fallen off a cliff this week as well. Tanner Groves, meanwhile, absolutely crushing it for the Taipans.
I think they're a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team. You got someone pops up for one game, then not for the other. So I brought the microwave in, Rob Edwards this round, and obviously he was hot on the outside but cold in the middle because he had a 45 and then an 8, I think, in the second game. So that's the example there. And Wardenberg's been great for the last month, and I think they even talked about it on the coverage where they reckon 40 might have just been giving him a bit of a breather for a round because he's been sort of the focus on offense. And like you mentioned, he didn't have as many, half the field goal attempts that he's had in the sort of 3 or 4 maybe weeks beforehand. So look to him. He might come back. I dare say lots of people will be he'll be on their trade out.
And for that hot and not list as well, we've also got, with Perth playing tonight, Bryce is already on one. He's already put up, I think, 41 so far, and a break even of 89. But the interesting one for me, Boydie, is, I don't want to say his name out loud, but here we are, Christian Doolittle. I can't go back. I'm going to go talk to some animals and they'll tell me, don't go near Doolittle. It's crazy. He's got a break in of 52. He's already got 47. I can't do it though. I'm so tempted. It's just like the shining light up in the air. I'm like a moth drawn to the Christian Doolittle. I can't do it. The flame look, Perth have been amazing over the last couple of weeks as well. Completely under the radar, smashing team. Like, just suddenly they're like right back in the thick of things for the finals. And Doolittle's been awesome, but I can't go back. But he's got such an awesome, like, you know, break even. He'll be making money, but I don't know. It's a tough one for next week.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be careful when you pronounce his name always. But he's had that big game now. Obviously, he was probably he got the best out of, unfortunately, Windler going down with that nasty gash or scratch or whatever it was on his eye. They've already said he's obviously out tonight, Windler, and it's a bit of a wait and see for their Saturday night game.
Judging by the photo, I'd go to hospital and stay there. Like, I'm not going anywhere with that.
Yeah, it didn't look flash. So, you know, does that mean, you know, we were looking at Doolittle as a trade-in this week. We thought he'd still be fairly cheap because they were kind of ramping up his minutes. I think he played 14 and then 16 in last round. And then he had 20-something odd in that game where Windler was out because they had to play him basically. So now with that form, with Doolittle, does he now, you know, take over Aquera's starting spot and go back up to the 25, 30 minutes, which it means he's a definite trade-in because I think he's still 222k at the moment. He's probably going to go up, as you said, low BE. So, but Perth have a single next week, but then the double the week after. So it's a bit of a funny one.
It's an amazing round 19 look.
Yes, Perth have been really interesting. And you talked about Sam Wardenberg. I think he has had those injuries. He's been sort of here and there when it comes to body-wise. So it'll be good to see him get back. But he is in our most traded in, which is so interesting. He's sitting at the top. 9.9% of coaches have put him in this week. Bryce Cotton, obviously, 6.5%. That's probably a lot of people that have just been like, I can afford him now, maybe found some cash. Parker Jackson Cartwright comes in, 5.1. He didn't stuff this stat sheet when he returned, but he is sort of finding some form again. Taron Armstrong, 4.7. And Sam Menenga, your guy, JC, very guard-centric there, but it has been interesting to see that Sam Menenga comes back into teams and Sam Wardenberg, JC.
Well, I think there's also the PJC question is pretty interesting to me here, Boydie. Like we talked it out last week, right? So I think he has 56 maybe already this week on the double. A good return if you'd sort of like go, oh, maybe I'll go a point of difference. It's not quite enough though, right? When you've got KD ripping off 102.
Yep.
Like, what are we doing here, right? So I want to shout out the rest of the breakers, however, like Kareem Lopez, 56. Like, that's awesome. Wardenberg obviously crushing it too. Matt Mooney crushing it again. But I think what you sort of look at for this trade-in bit, you're still sort of playing the schedule. And that's kind of how you have to be looking at this. I think out of the top 5% of coaches, I think Wardenberg was like the most traded in last week as well, right? So hopefully that's affected that top 5% equally. So hopefully you can sort of, it's not a catastrophe, basically. Fingers crossed for me. So, but outside of this, I mean, if you look at the schedule, you've got these teams on the round 18 doubles, which is Adelaide, Brisbane, Cairns, and New Zealand. And there's not too many other options, right? Like if you look at PJC, if you can bring him in, Boydie, like, do you trust him? Like, is he invested? Are we vibing it?
Well, I've already bought him in for this round, all right? So I took a chance. He was obviously very under-owned because he's been out for 5 games. So I took a chance and brought him in. His matchup's not that flash because obviously they played the JJs, Tasmania, in their first game of this round, which are pretty notoriously tough on guards to score Supercoach points on. Second game, he looked a lot better. I mean, they've had 5 games with Matt Mooney being the man, and now PJC has to come back to that role of being the man again. So it's kind of going to be interesting to see how they work that. I'm not going to trade him out now. Obviously, KD's my other starter, so he can just sit there and be good. But I mean, Cotton next week's on a single, so you're not going to bring him in and play him over PJC on a double.
This is the question I've got, because I'll have Cal going to a single next week for Illawarra. Maybe I'll go straight from him to PJC, and like that's the sort of big question sort of hanging over me.
There's been a few people that have sort of jumped off the Illawarra bandwagon, a few of the most traded out, Mason Peatling, Trey Cal, Derek Walton Jr. is the obvious one with that hamstring injury. Darius Days will be an interesting one there if people have him as well. So people jumping off Illawarra anyway with that scheduling. But I want to know about the moves, as I say, every single week when I hear the insights of our experts. I go to my trades and I go, yep, what they said. So what do you have this week, JC?
I hate, like, I'm having to get off Xavier Cooks just breaks my heart. I don't like, every time I brought him in, I'm like, all right, cool. It's been a nice little sort of, I don't know, sugar rush. Like, Xavier Cooks has been fantastic. Proud Ballarat man, just saying. The thing is, like, with the Kings sort of off their doubles, he's the obvious sort of, giant sort of cash mountain that I've got sitting there. My question is, like, do I roll the dice and maybe go for Josh Bannon with a Brisbane double this week? Cooks to Bannon. I've also got Cal, so maybe Cal to PJC. Suddenly, though, I think that actually leaves me with too much money that I'm actually kind of wasting. So I've got a couple of ideas there, but I think that's probably where I'm going to land because Banner's been fantastic. The sneaky other one as well is like maybe keeping cash in the bank to move to Sobe the following week when Sem go back on a double for round 19 when I'm actually, hopefully still in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, Cooks is the odd man out for me as well. He'll be my out. It depends what I do bring in. I think maybe I've got PJC and KD starting at the guard, so I might bring Cotton in and bench him for a week, ready for that round 19 where they're back on a double.
Yep.
That's probably going to be my play. My key would be just make sure you've got 5 players starting on doubles this next round, and look forward. If you've got that this round, I'd suggest maybe trading for the round after, where it kind of flips. Adelaide's the only team that's on round 18 and round 19 doubles. So you want to be almost flipping it around and trying, if you've got those 5 starters set for this week. And don't forget, you can probably move Casey Prather into a guard spot if you wanted to, if you got him sitting there. He's a dual position. So yeah, then look for that round 19. Sem and Perth are the big ones there on doubles. So that's my trade.
I think
probably.
So the New Zealand thing. So PJC as well. The one thing I wanted to hit on is his matchups are really good this week
That's
as well,
what they
right?
are,
Like
yes.
that's kind of like he's got Brisbane and Adelaide.
Yep.
And we know that they just like give up SuperCoach points, like I don't know, me giving up all the love for KD, right? Like that's just, it's how it goes. So I think PJC might be my go-to this week for the Traycal move.
I love the advice, guys. Is there any last minute things, like you just gave us some tidbits, any last minute things you'd have for super coaches this week?
I think it's literally just like make sure you're on top of the schedule and that you're on top of your trades before the Thursday start again, right? Like, because this is the last time you have that really quick turnaround, the less than 24-hour turnaround. So it's also a crucial week. We've gone past like the golden rounds where everyone's on the doubles, so you have to be really on top of the schedule. Make sure you get your trades in. Make sure you get them right.
I've been setting alarms to do mine between the Wednesdays and Thursdays. It's about 6 a.m. on a Thursday morning. A reminder to everyone out there, we are filming this on the Wednesday. 2 massive games tonight, like we've said, so stats and scores are valid at the time. Supercoach.com.au for all of your trades. Anything that you need, undo those trades, reverse them, have a look at prices, everything that you need. I use that button every single week, and we've absolutely loved having you guys with us. I love your insights so much, guys. Thanks for joining us, the experts as always for SuperCoach. Make sure you go and get your trades in, enjoy the hoops tonight, and we can't wait to have you with us next week.